You got Leon D here, and we're going to talk about food. I'm not an expert on anything to do with food, but I've been around a long time, and I am a professional barbecuologist. I know food. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know a lot of things that you may not like. That's the intro for Leon D. Let's get it on. Tonight, let's talk about something that's dear to my heart. It's called recipes. A lot of people do not know what the purpose of a recipe is. Now, saying that, a recipe has a simple purpose. And you should know this. I know you don't, but I'm going to tell you what the purpose of a recipe is. It's not what people think. A recipe is not something that's going to make your food taste good, or the way you want it to taste good, or the way you want it to taste. Let's just leave it at that. And a lot of you have asked me for my recipes. Now, let me tell you something. There are no two people on God's green earth that has the exact same taste buds. Nope. Taste buds are the exact same as a fingerprint. We all have one, but they all are slightly different. That's the whole point of DNA. You look like you're human. You may think you're human, but somebody's going to look at you and say, that dude's or that woman's messed up. Because if we were all the exact same, we either have a lot of crime or no crime. It'd be one of the two options. Because some people have never committed a crime, and quite a few you have. So now, the point of a recipe is strictly one thing. Like I said, it's like a fingerprint. The point of a recipe is to give you a base to start at. What I mean by that, if you want to make ribs, I can tell you what seasoning and how much I use. But when you make something like that and you cook the ribs, you can mimic me all day long. Your ribs are going to taste great for DJ Leon's taste buds. They are. But for you, they may taste great, but you always got to have it back in your mind. There's something you can do to tweak it for your own taste buds. That's my point. You say, hey, it tastes very, very good. Now let me tweak it so it can taste better for me. And what I mean by that, you might want to add a little more salt. You might want to add a little more cumin. You might want to use, Carolina Reaper peppers. And I might want to use habanero. But it's just a starting point. That's all it is. It's a starting point so that you can say, hey, I want to make some dirty rice. Here go the ingredients. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I want more sausage in mine. And that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. That's what you want in yours. So a recipe is not for your taste buds. It's the base to move it toward your taste buds, how you want it to taste. That's the whole entire, the whole intent of a recipe. People think if I make it the way DJ Leon's making it, it's going to taste great to everybody. No, it's going to taste great to DJ Leon D. I have catered events, and people have asked me, what's your recipe? I tell them what I put in it, but I don't always tell them the measurement I use, because my measurement might be different than your measurement. I might want a little bit more of this, a little less of this. It depends if I'm cooking it for an event, a catering event, or if I'm going to cook it for just me and my family, or just me and my friends. Me and my friends, they don't get a vote on how it's going to taste. They don't get a vote because they're eating it for free. So they're not getting a damn vote. Now, I have a few friends that chip in the form of, liquor, beer, they may bring a side dish or whatever have you. But when it's catered, I always want feedback because I always want to know how could I have made this a better experience for you, the paying customer. How could I have made this a better experience for you, the paying customer? Because I care. But when I'm at my house or doing something for free, I really don't care. Matter of fact, I don't care. Eat, shut up. You're paying money, you can give feedback. If you're not paying money, you can't give feedback. I had a guy said, how do you do your burn ends? I love your burn ends. I'm not saying you're not going to like my recipe. I'm not saying your taste buds isn't very, very close to mine. Like I said earlier, we're all slightly different. I'm not saying we're 180 degrees different. I'm not saying that at all. You and I may have the two DNAs that's side by side. Our fingerprints might be one millisecond off, but everything else is the exact same. And that is the exact same with taste buds. Taste buds are the exact same way. So don't go thinking that everybody's taste buds the same. And see, the reason I bring this up tonight, because that is the problem with chain restaurants. You go to a chain restaurant, let me tell you something. Everything they get is damn near dummy proof. They know they're hiring idiots to cook and serve food. They're not really cooking food. They're just prepping the food. The food already comes seasoned. Have you ever seen somebody at McDonald's with a salt shaker other than fries? You don't see them putting no seasoning on their hamburger. You don't see them putting no seasoning on anything but the fries. And they're determining how much salt they're going to put on it. And that's, you go to a young kid, they add salt like they're jerking off or something, right? You go to the old lady who's 65 years, she knows she don't want a lot of salt. She's going to give you very little salt. But you go down south, they give you a lot of salt on everything. And you go up north, you got to ask for additional salt. You go up north, you don't see salt shakers on most tables. You don't. Go to a restaurant, you don't see salt shakers. You go down south, they add salt before they even tasted food. Until this day, I don't know how you need salt on food before you taste it. Basically, what you're telling me, I'm working hard to get myself high blood pressure. That's all you're telling me. Because there's no way you need salt before you taste food. Now, when I cook, I season the food. So when I get done, if you want to add salt, you can add salt. Because I'm not going to put a lot of salt in it, because salt is one of the things you can add later. You can add all that stuff later. So when I give you a recipe, you may say, I don't see any salt on the recipe. Because those are things you can add later. I don't see where you add a pepper. Nope, you can add that later too. Things you can add later to a recipe, I don't care if I don't. You know what? I don't care if I don't have enough for your liking. Here's what I try and do. Like I said, I give you the base. Things you can always add later. Now, saying that, that's one of the differences between a recipe for cooking and a recipe for baking. A recipe for baking is generally something that's exact. Baking is an exact science. Cooking is not. Cooking means just good enough, and I can add what's missing later. Baking, you can't go add sugar later. You can't add flour later. Once you get all your ingredients together and everything's mixed together, that's it. That's why a lot of people like baking. Not so much it's exact, but once you do it one time, you put it in the oven and you walk away. Cooking, you're sampling it while you're cooking it. Are these beans right? Is the rice perfect? Is the cheese I just made good for the macaroni and cheese? You can add things as you go along when you're cooking. Not when you're baking. You can't put a cake in the oven and take a chunk of it out, test it, and add things later. Nope, nope, nope. I know some of you tried that before, but you can't do that though. It's not how it works. So it's one of those things that when someone gives you a recipe, that's a starting point. That's all it is. I'm going to say it's going to be good, at least by my taste buds, because it was good to me. I'm going to say that. But it means that you can go home and tweak and peek it. And that's one of the reasons you see 1,000 cookbooks with a lot of the same exact recipes or menus for the same item. You see different recipes for the same item. Nothing wrong with that. That's how it should be. Because someone has taken their recipe, their base recipe, and they decided, I'm going to add something to it or add more of this to it. And then you got these people who call themselves vegans, whatever you want to call themselves. They don't want this in it. They don't want that in it. Yeah, you know what? The hell with them all. Create your own recipe, feed your own body, do what you need to do. It's not me. It's not me. So when and then depends on where you are or where you're from in this world or this country, you might want to add your own little stuff to it that you care about, or you got ingredients that you can only get in your particular neck of the woods. You can't get through the whole country, but I can get it in my neck of the woods. So, I may substitute things in and out. And see, for me personally, I cook, especially desserts and other stuff, a lot of the ways my mom cooked, because that's what I grew up, eating, and that's who I grew up watching. So your parents normally have catered your taste buds. But every generation, I give you a perfect example. I never grew up eating grits with cheese. But when I go watch people nowadays, they eat grits with a lot of different things that I would have never considered. I grew up salt and butter. And now I'm not a grit fan, but I will eat them. And I like just salt and butter. I got no problems at all eating just that way. I'm not going to add 5 different things to it outside of salt and butter. But younger kids nowadays, they want cheesy grits. They want creamy grits. They want to add milk to it and all this and all. And that's all fine for your taste buds. So I can tell you my recipe for grits, and then you can add all this other stuff to it. Nothing wrong with that at all. But my recipe is not going to have cheese in it, have this other stuff in it. Someone has taken that basic recipe with salt and butter and added all these other things to it. Because there's 2 things in recipe when you're cooking food that is going to make it taste better. You can add as much as you want to. I'm not saying it's healthy, but it's 2 things in life that you can always add a lot of this, and it's never going to make any food taste worse. Not even baking. That's butter and bacon. Those are 2 things in life you can add to themselves. I can add butter to butter, it tastes better. I can add bacon to bacon, it tastes better. If you think 1 piece of bacon tastes good, eat 2 of them. That's just a fact. You say, oh, this is a good piece of bacon. Damn, I had 2 of them. Ooh, Lord. Then your mind starts thinking, what if I had 3 or 4? Who's ever been to a buffet and got just 1 piece of bacon? Nobody I know of. You get a piece of toast and you put some butter on there and you like it. Now you're trying to take butter and smother the entire piece of bread with butter. You don't care how much you use. You just know that bread and butter is going to taste better the more butter you put on it. So those 2 things in life that God invented, and to this day, I think they're probably 2 of the greatest inventions outside of Amazon. Add this, add butter, add bacon. So most recipes call for some type of butter. But like I said, those are a base recipe. If you cooking something, you add butter and bacon to it, it ain't going to taste no worse than it did when you started without those 2 ingredients. So the whole thing that you want to do is that you want to take a recipe that someone gives you and in your mind tell yourself, this is the base recipe. Now I'm going to tweak and peak for my own particular taste buds. That's just me. You may use pecans where I use peanuts. You may use margarine where I use butter. because I'm going to use butter. You know, you may use a whole lot of stuff, you know, that I'm not going to use, but you can substitute things too. And it may be for your particular palate, it may be the best thing you could have ever did. But that's just for your particular palates. DJ Leon always going to tell you, if you ask for a recipe, I'm going to tell you the amount. I can tell you. I mean, like I said, it might be the best thing you ever had, or you may tweak and peek and say, now it's the best thing I ever had. But that's just me. But a lot of people, when they get a recipe, somehow they think they have gotten success. You know, when you get a recipe, you got a starting point. That's all you got. It's just a starting point. And you may say, hey, I like it. It's very good. But hey, let me put my own spin on it. Most lazy people are just going to copy you verbatim. Most creative people are going to look at it and say, what if I do this, do this, do this? And you can always go back to the base recipe. So you're never going to not be able to go back to what you started at. And that's where people who are very creative win every time, because they know they can go back and they can start again. If you like cooking or baking, you can start again. You know what the base is already. So don't be afraid to understand that that is strictly a starting point for you. So this is DJ Leon D, and I just want you to know what a recipe is for and what is a recipe versus what is a fast food cooking everything in one location, send it to stores, and it's already ready for you. Already the idiots got to do is put it in the microwave. That's all they got to do is put it in the microwave. They make it idiot proof. They know they're not hiring chefs to cook at McDonald's or Burger King or wherever you may go. They're not hiring a chef. They're hiring a preparer. Because the food's already prepared, they're going to prepare for you, but everything has been done. So there's no recipes involved. That's why they don't have to share recipes across, 5,000 stores. No. Fix it all in one place and ship it to all the other places. Because half the people they hire, they know they can't read and write. They know all the issues and stuff. They know they get I don't know, maybe the high school graduate. No, I doubt that. They probably get the ones who made it past 5th grade. Because, the more people, the more skills they have, the more you got to pay them. They're not doing that. Minimum wage means minimum intelligence and minimal effort. So recipes, now you understand it. So now you know what it's all about. So don't believe the hype.